Have you ever paused just for a minute to ask yourself, how much love do I really give to my family? 50%? Silsib%? Or is it only when you're free or tired that you remember them? If you've ever cried quietly hearing your mother's voice on the phone, afraid to speak because you didn't want her to worry, if you've ever noticed your father's back growing thinner and held back tears just to stay strong, then this story isn't just meant to be heard. It's meant to be felt in silence, so you can realize something deep inside. Hit that subscribe button, because this isn't just a place for stories. It's a place where you just might meet yourself again in every memory of family you thought you'd forgotten. 1. The measure of love. How much do you really give to your family? The day I sat alone in a familiar cafe, an old song played randomly on the radio, and I suddenly found myself asking, have I given 70% of my love to my family? I didn't have an answer, because I used to think that love was enough, that missing them was enough, that sending money home regularly was enough. But maybe loving your family isn't just about what you've done, it's about what you've missed. My mother is a quiet woman. She doesn't know how to send heart emojis in texts. She never asks if I'm tired. The only thing she sends are photos of sandals by the porch, a pot of soup she just cooked, or sunlight streaming through the window, as if to say, "Son, home is still waiting." My father is even quieter. He has a habit of standing behind the door whenever I come home, not because he missed me, but because he wants to make sure the child he told, "Be careful on the road," has come back safely through that door. I was once the child who ran after dreams without ever looking back. I used to think, my family understands me. But the truth is, yes, they understand us, but that doesn't mean they don't get hurt by our silence. One night, my mom called me at 10 p.m. I was in a meeting. I saw the call, but I swiped it away. When I finally called back, she said, "I was just gonna ask if you had dinner, but I figured you were busy." I sat there speechless, because yes, I was busy. But was what I was busy with more important than answering the one question from the woman who's cooked me thousands of meals? Since then, I started counting. Not the money I send home each month. I count the times I answer her calls. I count the times I text, "How's Dad doing?" I even count the times I call home. Not because I need anything, but just because I miss them. And I realized, love for family isn't measured by the sweet words we post online. It's measured by our quiet presence in each other's lives, especially during the moments that seem ordinary. I used to think that once I became an adult, my parents would understand that I was busy. I believed that as long as I was working hard to take care of them, my absence was justified. But there's something I only came to realize much later. Parents don't need us to provide for them. They just need us. One evening, I came home without telling anyone in advance. My mom was dozing off in a wooden chair by the door. The light was still on, the TV still playing, and her phone was charging nearby. I stepped in quietly, trying not to wake her. But as soon as I got close, she opened her eyes, a mix of surprise and joy in her gaze. "Oh, you're home? I thought you had a meeting today." Sound familiar? That's the excuse she tells herself, just so she won't feel like she's bothering me. It's how she forgives my absence, even before I get the chance to say sorry. My father was outside, pruning some dead branches. When I walked up to him, he didn't say much. He simply handed me the pruning shears and said, "Cut that branch for me. It's cooler out here." That was it. No blame, no questions. But I knew, from the calluses on his hands and the way he glanced at me, he was happy, truly happy. That night, I had dinner with my parents. No phone, no rush. Mom placed a piece of fish on my plate. Dad topped up the fish sauce. I looked at them and found myself asking that same old question. How much love have I really given my family? But this time, I didn't need a number. Because I understood. Love for family isn't about frequency. It's about depth. Just one visit. But if you truly listen, if you're truly present, it means more than 100 promises of, I'll come home when I have time. The next morning, I took Mom to the market. We walked down the quiet village road under soft sunlight. She carried the basket and laughed, chatting about her market friends. Mrs. Tam just had a new grandchild, and you, when will you give me one? I chuckled and teased. I just became less busy. Now you want me busier? She didn't answer, just smiled softly. But in her eyes, I could see she wasn't hoping for a grandchild. She was hoping I'd find a home of my own, like the one she once built for us. That afternoon, I sat with Dad on the porch. He brewed tea in silence. I asked him something I had never dared to ask. Dad, do you ever feel sad because we rarely come home now? He didn't look at me, just stared into his teacup. Of course, but I'm used to it. Besides, seeing you kids doing well, I feel at peace. I didn't say another word, but that answer, it cut deep, quietly, and painfully. We always assume our parents don't need anything. But the truth is, they've gotten used to living without, used to enduring, because they love us more than they love themselves. So if you ask me, do you give 70% of your love to your family? I'd say, I used to not know. But now I don't count in percentages anymore. I count every shared meal, every call just to ask, what did you eat today, Mom? Every hug I give my father when I leave. No longer shy like I was as a child. Because love for family isn't something to measure. It's something to fill, little by little, day by day, until there's nothing left to regret. When we fear losing, we realize how much we've forgotten. I once heard someone say, when we're young, we think our parents will always be there, until one day we realize nothing lasts forever. I understood that, on a morning just like any other. That day, I was working when my younger sister sent me a message. Brother, Mom's in the hospital. It's not serious, but if you can, come home. She said, not serious. But my heart sank. Because if it wasn't serious, why did she ask me to come home? I took leave and got on the earliest bus. The entire ride, one question kept echoing in my head. When was the last time I said, I love you, Mom? It was a small district hospital, cramped, with a ceiling fan spinning quietly. Mom lay there, thinner than I remembered. Her face was damp with sweat, but she still forced a smile the moment she saw me. Oh, you're here? I'm just a little tired, that's all. I didn't say anything. I just held her hand. For the first time in so many years. That hand had once guided me across streets, cooked dinner every night, wiped my tears when I stumbled. Now it was dry, thin, and cold. The doctor said it was just low blood pressure due to exhaustion and lack of sleep. But what unsettled me most was why she couldn't sleep. I was worried about you. You've looked so thin lately. And when it stormed last night, I couldn't sleep. I was afraid something happened to you on the road. At that moment, I turned away. Not because I didn't want to look at her, but because I didn't want her to see me crying. My father stood in the hallway, leaning quietly against the wall. I joined him, and after a long silence, I asked, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" He simply replied, "Didn't want you to worry. Besides, you have work." That sentence felt like a mirror, reflecting everything I had done. How many times had I used "I'm busy" as an excuse not to call, not to visit, not to ask? And now, when my parents use the same excuse for not calling me, I finally understood. It's not because they didn't need me. It's because they didn't want me to see them weak. That night, I stayed at the hospital. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I wanted to hear my mother's soft breathing in the dark. I wanted to hear my father shifting lightly on the hallway bench. I wanted, for the first time in a long time, to feel that I belonged here, in this place with the two people I had taken for granted. The next morning, when Mom ate her first spoonful of porridge, her eyes lit up as she said, "I'm better now. You should head back to work. Don't worry about me." I smiled and shook my head. I'm not rushing back anymore. And from that moment, I knew that the love I had for my family was no longer something I measured, no longer a question of, is it 70% yet? It was my whole heart, because sometimes loss happens in a single moment. But to truly love enough takes a lifetime of realizing what we almost forgot. When we start to listen, family feels closer. I used to think that showing gratitude to my parents meant buying them a house, a car, or taking them on trips abroad. But after everything that happened, I realized sometimes what they really need is just a quiet afternoon sitting together, saying nothing, yet feeling warm inside. I began going home more often, not because Mom was sick, but because I didn't want to wait until she was, to come home. I changed the way I lived, not in the sense of giving up everything to be with my parents, but by learning to make time, so I wouldn't miss the things that truly mattered. One call every week, one visit home each month, even if only for a day. Every call, I stopped asking, "Did you eat yet?" and started asking, "Are you tired today, Mom?" Little by little, I realized, family love doesn't demand grand gestures. It just needs sincere care at the right time from a heart that's present. Every morning, Mom would send me a photo of the sunrise behind our house. At first, I just glanced at them. But then I started replying, "It's beautiful, Mom. Don't do laundry too early today. It's cold." And she'd reply, "Okay, I'll remember, since you reminded me." I once asked Dad, "Would you like me to get you a better phone? This one's pretty old." He shook his head. "No need for anything fancy. As long as it can make calls, I'm happy. Besides, whenever I see your number calling, that's enough to warm my whole day." One time, I invited Mom to take photos with me. She was shy and said, "Oh dear, I'm too old for pictures. So embarrassing." I laughed. "You're older now, but you're still my mom, the most beautiful woman in the world to me." In the end, I got a photo of her smiling brightly, holding a bouquet of flowers I picked from the garden. Now, that photo is printed large and sits on my work desk. Every time I look at it, I feel small, but full. I started writing down the little things about my parents. Mom loves durian, but never buys it because she thinks it's too expensive. Dad stands outside on the porch every evening for 15 minutes before going back inside. Every time I come home, Mom remakes my bed 3 times, just so it smells fresh. These are things I never would have noticed, unless I truly listened. And I never would have listened, unless I truly loved. One day, I saw that Mom had written something in the little calendar hanging on the wall. Saturday, my child comes home. Next to it, she had drawn a smiley face in pen. I looked at her crooked handwriting and felt my heart tighten. We often think parents don't care about the little things, but in truth, they live for those little things. Every single day. I still don't know how much of my heart belongs to my family, but now I know. Every action, every moment of listening, every time I come home, that's my answer. Not in words, but in presence. Because family doesn't ask, how much do you love me? It only asks, when I need you, will you be there? Someday soon. And the question you don't want to answer too late. I once read somewhere, there are phone calls we think we can make tomorrow, but tomorrow, there may be no one left to answer. I don't want that to happen to me. And I don't want it to happen to you. Only for you to realize it too late. One evening, a few months after my mom was discharged from the hospital, I was sitting on the porch when she stepped out, holding 2 glasses of herbal tea. I know you don't like it too sweet, so I added very little sugar. I don't make it as well as I used to. My hands shake now. I took the glass and looked at her hands, thin, frail, her nails no longer full and smooth like before. I turned to her and said, anything you make is delicious, because it tastes like home. That night, I lay in the same bed I slept in as a child. The room was still the same. The scent of old wood, the soft yellow light, the frogs croaking far out in the fields. But something in me had changed. I was no longer a child waiting to be loved by my parents. I was now an adult, choosing to love them in return. Fully, consciously, not just with emotion, but with action. I started a small notebook titled, The Days I Still Have My Parents. Each day, I wrote down one small thing. Today, Mom called to gossip about the neighbors. Today, Dad smiled because his son got a promotion. Today, nothing special happened, but I still called home. Because the days when nothing special happens, those are the days most worth treasuring. You know, life waits for no one. And parents, they don't wait forever. One day, a chair will be empty, and everything you meant to do tomorrow will become a quiet, aching regret. So if you still can, call home. If you still can, ask Dad if he needs a haircut. Ask Mom if she cooked anything new today. Ask them, as if all you had left was today. Not to prove you're a good child, but so you, as a busy, grown, worn-out adult, don't lose the roots of your love. And if someone asks you, do you give 70% of your heart to your family? Smile and say, I don't know the percentage, but I give them everything that's left. If you've stayed with me this far, ask yourself, when was the last time you hugged your father? When was the last time you called your mom just to say, I miss you? Start again. Today. And if this story touched even the smallest corner of your heart, hit subscribe and share it with someone you care about. Not for views, but because someone out there might need to hear this, before it's too late to turn back toward home. Because home isn't just where we grow up. It's where, even after years away, the door still opens. And someone is waiting to ask, have you eaten yet?